Hello, my name is Chuck Wolf. Over the years, I've worked in many different roles, including leading my own leadership consulting company since 1994. I've worked for and with some of the best companies and universities in the world, and have had the opportunity to work with government officials, military organizations, and public and private schools. I'm a leading expert and pioneer in emotional intelligence. Since 2009, I have been a volunteer hosting a radio show I created called The Emotion Roadmap, Take the Wheel and Control How You Feel. I really enjoy making a difference in people's lives. The show is on award-winning community radio station, WPKN in Bridgeport, Connecticut. In recent years, Simsbury Community Television has been sharing my shows on their station and on YouTube. My sincere hope is that everyone who watches regularly will learn how to use the Emotion Roadmap in their own lives by listening to people who call in to get help with challenges at work, home, and in communities. To learn more, go to www.emotionroadmap.com. If you have a comment or question, email me at cjwolf@cjwolf.com. Thank you and enjoy the show. This is Chuck Wolf, and you're listening to the Emotion Roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. And this is a show that is called the Emotion Roadmap because we take you from what you are feeling to what you want to feel, what you need to feel, and help you to help others to feel what they need to feel as well. I welcome you to the show. It's a show that happens to be taking place during Pride Month, and I want to say that I welcome all our Pride listeners and everybody that's part of that community. Welcome, and I'm so glad that you're part of our listening community. And I want to say, share a shout out to the place that I belong, the Farmington Valley Jewish Congregation in Simsbury, Connecticut, which takes great pride in being incredibly inclusive. And I just want to give a shout out to our group for welcoming everybody to be part of our community. And this is part of the WPKN community strip. So I want to welcome all of our regular listeners and say thank you for tuning in and listening. And I want to have a special show today to honor Father's Day, which is coming up this weekend. So while I know none of us as fathers is perfect, including myself, I know a lot of fathers often give it their best and sometimes feel like they've fallen down and haven't done quite enough to make their families and their children proud of them. So I would like to invite every listener, regular listeners as well as new listeners, to come and talk on the show today a bit about their fathers, their past histories with their fathers, where you can share a tribute, a memory, some time that your dad made you feel really special, really showed his pride in you in some way, shape, or form. And if you've got a story like that, I encourage you to call in and share it. The number to call is 203-336-9756. And if you feel like after sharing, you want your dad to listen to the show, I'm going to post it on Public Radio Exchange right afterwards. I'm going to share not necessarily all the conversation I have during the show when I'm just talking, but I will share all the tributes to dads that people call in on. And I'll do it as a single show based on today's date of June 12th. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who listens regularly. Thank you for tuning into my show. If you're a regular listener for the Emotion Roadmap, Take the Wheel and Control How You Feel. And I also want to honor anybody who's been waiting to talk to me who has something they want to ask me for, because regular listeners know this, but if you're new to the show is about helping people deal with challenges in their lives, often complicated by strong emotions. We know from past experience that people, smart people, excellent critical thinkers, really good problem solvers, sometimes and get stuck when, well, actually it's more than sometimes, it's quite often when they do get stuck, when you get stuck, when I get stuck, it's because something emotional is happening either inside of me, inside of you, or you're worried about the emotions with someone else who you have to deal with. You might have an upcoming conversation with a family member, a daughter, a son, a parent, a spouse, a partner that you're worried about. You're worried about making situations worse instead of better. And yet you know you can't avoid the topic because it's just too important to let go. So I encourage you, if you've got something that you've been waiting for me to talk with you about, and you want to get some help using the emotion roadmap to guide what you might do next, to help you to get unstuck and to deal with the challenge, the conflict, the opportunity, the threat, the special moment in time that you're facing, feel free to give me a call. And by the way, it doesn't have to be something negative. It could be you've got a big job interview coming up, that you've got a big decision to make, and it's like a choice between two wonderful choices. It isn't always something that's problematic. Often I get calls that are about serious problems because that's what prompts people to call in. But there are times when people just have some really excellent choices and it's unclear which choice to make. And sometimes by focusing on the emotions that you are feeling, that you want to feel, that you hope you can feel, that you want others that you care about who are going to be impacted to feel, it's helpful to have a sounding board. And I'm a really good listener. I've been considered an expert in the field of emotional intelligence, a pioneer who's conceived this emotion roadmap that really takes people through a process that says, how are you feeling? What would be ideal for you to feel? How can you get from what you are feeling to what would be ideal to feel? And then thinking about possible strategies to make that happen. And I'm really good at helping people, and I enjoy helping people. And it's a gift to me when you call in and I can help you, because that's something that I care deeply about. And it makes me feel great if somebody feels like at the end of a call, thank you so much, Chuck, because that's something I feel like I can do and I will do. And I so appreciate being on the air and talking to you. Not only do I appreciate you calling from the standpoint of how I feel, because it makes me feel great when I can help you, but also I think there's lots of people who are listening that benefit from learning about how to use the emotion roadmap to help others and to help themselves. I know I use the emotion roadmap all the time in my life. So let me tell you a little bit about my dad. Let me just say a little bit about my dad and encourage you, if you've got something to share about your dad, a special memory, a time when your dad made you feel really proud, I'd like you to share it with me. And then I'd like to have a collection of these that I can put up on the Public Radio Exchange so other people, other dads can listen to this and get an idea of things that matter to people in their lives, their children. Sometimes it's an adult child. Sometimes it's your dad's done something for you recently, which is special. And you might be 40 or 50 years old. You might be 60 or 70 years old and still have your dad around giving you advice from time to time, trying to be helpful to you when he can be. So if you've got something that you can share, maybe from your childhood when you were really little or something later in life, again, give me a call at 203-336-9756. So I'd like to tell you about my dad. I've been thinking about him recently because I don't know if any of you happen to have Apple TV Plus and have watched the show Masters of the Air. It is a show about World War II and the people that flew in bombers, flew missions over Germany, and what happened to them. There's stories about real life people that were pilots and gunners and navigators and people that made up the crew that helped to keep the planes flying in the air. And it's reminding me of my dad, because my dad was one of those people that you may have seen movies about where you actually sit in a little bubble on the air, and a little bubble on the side of the plane, and you're actually a gunner that's helping to protect your planes as you're flying over targets. I've got my first caller. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who's calling, please?
Yes, this is Dylan phoning in.
Did you say Dylan?
Yeah, that's correct. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. I just parked my lawnmower because I had to call in. I'm compelled to call in to share about my dad.
Sure, go ahead, Dylan.
Yeah, well, he's still with us. He's a phenomenal human. He's about 75. He even quit smoking at 75 years ago. And the wonderful thing about him is that he takes pride in everything he does, and he's always helping me. I really appreciate that about him. And it's been hard for me to find a career for about 3 years right now. And it's been chewing me up inside. But the way he takes pride in everything we do, including volunteering to mow this historical society, it means a lot to me that he takes a lot of pride in what he does.
No, that's great. And so he's been helpful to you, and he stopped smoking. Congratulations on both fronts.
Yeah, and he gives me rides to places if I'm low on gas money. And he's been really looking out for me. I want to get back a shred of independence again since I took a buyout with the airlines in the pandemic. And I know with his example, hopefully I can get back on my feet.
Well, I wish you all the best, Dylan, and I really want to thank you for calling in and sharing something special about your dad. And if your dad happens to be listening, or if you want him to hear what you had to say about him, again, I'm going to post the show on what's called Public Radio Exchange. And if you just type in Public Radio Exchange and Emotion Roadmap, you'll find the series and you can find the show.
Thank you so much.
You
I
bet.
appreciate it, Chuck.
Okay, take care, Dylan. Bye-bye now.
You too. Bye-bye.
Well, that's the idea, folks. If you've got something about your dad that makes you feel like you want to call in and share it, the number to call is 203-336-9756. 203-336-9756. Again, my show is about dads, and so I want to talk about my dad for a little bit. While I'm watching the show Masters of Air, and I started to tell you that my dad he wanted to be a pilot, but they had enough people applying to be pilots, and they said, actually, after watching all your skill sets, you have a really good eye and an ability to shoot and hit your targets accurately, more accurately than most, and we'd like to make you a gunner. And that means putting you on the outside of the plane in a bubble with a machine gun, and you're going to help to protect everybody that's on that crew. You're going to help to keep them alive so they come back safely. You're going to have that mission to any fighter planes or any other kinds of planes that come to try and attack you in the air. Your job is to try and knock them down with your machine gun inside this little turret on the outside of an airplane. Now, I know people have a fear of flying. I don't really have a fear of flying, but I can't imagine. I can't imagine being on the outside. Never mind the war. I can't imagine being on the outside of a little glass bubble, that's somehow protecting you while you're flying, 50 and 20,000 feet in the air. So the whole concept is just really terrifying at that level just by itself. But the idea of being over enemy territory when there are missiles being shot at you, planes coming at you, shooting at you, trying to knock you out of the air, and trying to defend your country, believing you're doing a wonderful thing to protect people who are, it was pretty clear what was evil and what was good in that war. And you were fighting against evil, and you felt like you were fighting for what was good. And you were told that over the course of your lifetime, doing this is an amazing thing and a wonderful thing for your country. And, the bravest and the most wonderful of our people that did these kinds of jobs, at some point you'll get to go home. But we need you to fly a lot of missions. And the goal was when you came in, and this is so amazing to me. I was watching this show it's on Apple TV Plus. It's called Masters of Air, and it's about people that experienced going through, I think it was the 100th Division. It was Army Air Force at that time. They weren't separated. And this group, a lot of times, a lot of planes went out and not a lot of planes came back. And people lost all kinds of friends, and it became hard, just watching the show, they tell you it became hard to care about the new people coming in because it was so painful every time somebody didn't come back. So, I just got to the place in the show, and I don't want to spoil it for people, but I do want to say this one part, which was that at some point after your 25th mission, you got to go home, and everybody cheered for you because they were so happy that somebody they cared about, somebody that they felt empathy for was going to go home after doing the amazing task of flying these missions over Germany mostly at the time, and to try to save lives by taking out munitions factories and plants that manufactured tanks and all kinds of things. And when they did what they did, and they got to go home after 25 missions, it was like amazing. But what happened, and what they show in the TV series, is that because they lost so many pilots and so many people and so many planes, the people who were just finishing up their 25th missions in this show were told, you get to go home because you're grandfathered in. But we're going to extend the number of missions people are going to have to fly. You're going to have to fly 30. And then I guess it went to 35. The person we're following in the show, actually, I read about him later because he's a real person. He actually flew 52 missions. And what's amazing to me is my dad flew 52 missions. He never really talked much about the war, and he didn't want to talk much about, the people that were lost and all the experiences he had. My dad was a great storyteller, and he would often tell some funny things that he wanted people to laugh about because, at the end of the war, he was really, at the end of 52 missions, they sent him to Hawaii for recreational care, which was a way of saying he had post-traumatic stress syndrome at that point. He just, you could, as you watch these people and what they go through, you understand. I actually don't understand how he could have been as brave and heroic for as long as he was. And then finally, he had some challenges, if you will, coming home after that. And there were some complications with my dad in my life growing up because of that experience, because every once in a while, the stress of remembering some of these experiences got to him and caused some problems for us in our family. But my mom was strong and my dad was great, and the two of them figured out how to make it work. It wasn't always easy, but he is and was my hero. And one of the things that I remember, I said I'd tell you about a time that I felt great pride. It was my dad. When I was a kid, I was a pretty good baseball player. Grew up loving the Red Sox. So if you're from the Massachusetts area or anywhere close to Boston, it feels like it's part of your religion to want to love the Red Sox and the Patriots and the Celtics and the Bruins. Those were the four sports teams that people grew up mostly loving. And my dad thought I might be good enough actually to play for Red Sox. He thought I was a left-handed pitcher and I could be a southpaw and play for the Sox one day. Well, that didn't happen. I threw out my arm once trying so hard to be good at pitching. But there were moments in time when we did have some major successes, and my dad was always there, taking great pride in every moment of my time growing up as a kid playing ball. And I remember that as one of those memories that gives me great pride and helps to fill my self-concept with, things that make me proud of myself and what my dad contributed to making me feel like I had abilities and I had depth to me and I had character. And I also thought my dad was great at, getting people to enjoy themselves and making life better for folks by the stories he told. And that's one of the reasons I'm on the radio today, is because I like telling stories and I like making people feel better. I think if you want to call in and share something about your dad that is special to you, that you can talk about, that you'd like to share and like to hear later, maybe invite your dad to share, please give me a call, 203-336-9756. 203-336-9756. So something about your dad that somehow a time when your dad gave you something special with something he did with you, for you, to you, said something that made you feel special. I know for myself, again, the number to call again is 203-336-9756. I know for myself, there are times with my daughters. I have 3 daughters, and now I have grandchildren, and I do often think, what might I say? What can I do? How can I be most helpful to them while building them up? Even if I'm not happy with the choice that they're making, how do I say that in a way that builds them up? Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please? Oh, could you turn your radio dial down, please?
Yeah. My name is Mike.
Hi, Mike.
And I'm driving on the Merritt back towards New York, and I'm just listening to your show for the first time, and I was really moved by your story, and especially about your dad's heroism and what he did. That's just beautiful.
Thank you.
But I wanted to share, if I may,
sure,
just one short memory about my dad. And that is, I grew up in a house full of music. He loved listening to Frank Sinatra and the big bands, and even tolerated my rock and roll when I was growing up in the 70s. And I played trumpet in school, and I had a trumpet solo in my junior year at Roslyn High School. And I'll never forget him sitting there, with the whole family, and he had tears in his eyes because he was so proud of what I was doing. And it was just a really special moment. So when you ask, what memory do you have, that's the one that comes to the top of my mind every time I think of my dad. So thank you for giving me the opportunity.
Well, thanks a lot, Mike. And if you want to hear, or is your dad still with us, or is he passed?
No, he passed. He had a terrible run with Alzheimer's over about 20 years ago. So it was like 5 years of just an awful way to go. But he was also legally blind. But the last 10 years he had good vision because he had cataract surgery. So he had 10 good years before the Alzheimer's kicked in. I miss him often.
Well, thanks a lot, Mike. I don't know what your beliefs are about afterlife. I tend to, I'm a pragmatist around afterlife. I know we don't know, but I feel like, well, maybe there is and maybe there isn't, but I see only an upside if there is. And if there is, then maybe your dad got to hear this anyway. Mike, thanks a lot for the call. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks.
You too. Bye-bye now. So that's the idea, folks, is if you want to call in and share something. And one of the things that I think helps all of us is as we listen to different people, doesn't it come to mind that you start to think about your own life? As I listened to Mike, I thought about a couple of things in my own life. My dad actually played the trumpet. My dad was a trumpet player too. And he was a singer and he loved to sing. And we were always, whenever we took long trips, how a lot of people like to listen to their radio and their own music. My dad, we didn't have, we didn't have access to Siri or USB drives or our smartphones that would play music or Amazon Music or whatever. He would just sing. He loved Frank Sinatra too. One of his favorites was Jerry Veal, I remember. So again, it causes you to think about things in your own life. And I remember one of my daughters, my daughter Sarah, when she was a young kid, she had a solo. She has a beautiful voice, and she had a solo in school. And the same way Mike talked about his dad having tears in his eyes, I had tears in my eyes listening to my daughter sing for the school that she was in Simsbury, where we live. It was, again, so I encourage you to call in with your stories because it only makes you feel like you remember more things about your own life and your own dad. And again, there's lots of times in our lives when people make mistakes, including me as a father, and you'd like to be able to take them back. You can't, but you just try and keep doing the right thing as best you can. And hopefully this encourages more dads who are listening to try and do the right thing with their kids today, to make memories that are going to be special, that when somebody else is on the air many years from now asking, hey, anybody got a story about their dad that they want to share? That you've done something because you heard that idea, that you want to give memories to people. You want to give a memory, not just something, not just an average day, but make the day special by thinking about what is my daughter, what is my son, what is my child, what does my children need from me that will make it special. Whenever I can, I try to do those kind of things. So again, the number to call is 203-336-9756. 203-336-9756. So we'll see if we get anybody else to call. Okay, so again, the show is the Emotion Roadmap. Take the wheel and control how you feel. The show's about helping people deal with challenges in their lives. And if you've got something you wanted to call about that is challenging to you and you feel like you want some help with it, and you think that if you think the things I'm talking about, and so if you've listened to the shows before, you've heard that I've helped lots of people with help them to manage their bosses, help them to deal with peers that are causing them some problems in the workplace, helping them to manage some people that they're experiencing with that have some challenges that are making life a little tough for the people and for themselves. So anything that has to do with work is game, and anything has to do with home where you're dealing with, raising kids is always challenging. There's always things that people find are a bit complicated, and would really appreciate having somebody that has some expertise in the area of parenting. And That's another thing I've done. I've done a lot of different things over my lifetime. Mostly these days, I'm working with a lot of leaders and executive coaching and helping to create environments where you actually are thinking compassionately, empathically about everybody and anyone that you and your organization come into contact with. And I'll talk a bit about that as well when I have time. I'm calling it Eros. Yeah, what I think is important in the workplace is you want to create passion. You want to create some excitement. You want to create people who care about other people. You want to create an environment where people come in and they feel cared about, whether they're a vendor or a customer or someone in the community or anyone that works for you, with you, or you work for. Sometimes people really want to have an amazingly supportive person they report to. They want a boss who cares about them, that thinks about how to promote them, promote their skill set, help them to grow, help them to advance if that's important to them. Or if they just want to stay in the job, makes life really meaningful and a bit challenging and also very purposeful, so that the people feel like they're doing something that matters and they're doing it in a way that's valued and appreciated. So I'm working on something. I call it Eros because Eros stands for Emotion Roadmap to Organizational Success. E for emotion, R for roadmap, O for organizational, S for success. And Eros, well, Eros is sometimes thought about as a lusting kind of God. I do lust after workplaces that are going to be the kind of place that everybody wants to work. Everybody gets up in the morning and feels like, I'm looking forward to the day. I get to go in and be with people who really care about me, who I really care about, who seem to always want to do the right thing. Not because it makes them more money, but because it is the right thing. And by the way, when you do the right thing and you create this kind of environment, you make more money. There's a lot of research that says that people in organizations that believe in trust, that believe that their organization stands for high values and quality standards that make them proud, where they feel cared about and where they are expected to care about others. The people that come into workplaces like that are often what the Gallup polls, if you pay attention to Gallup, they basically say they consider those people highly engaged. And there aren't that many organizations that have more than 20% of their workforce highly engaged. But it's possible to create that. And I encourage you to think about that too. Again, this is a show that I wanted to dedicate to dads and fathers. So if you've got something that you can share about your dad, something special that happened in your life where your dad made a difference. And again, I can put the show on the air on the public radio exchange when the show's over. If you want to listen and later on you can just look up Public Radio Exchange and then type in Emotion Roadmap. See a bunch of my shows that are up there, as a matter of fact. But in any case, if you've got something to call in about, again, the number to call is 203-336-9756. 203-336-9756. And we're talking about dads. And we're talking about how special dads can be. And if you've got something, share it. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please?
Chuck, good afternoon. My name is John.
Hi, John.
I'm in Putnam County, New York. How are you doing today?
I'm great. Thanks for listening. And you got a story to share?
I love your style, and I have some stories to share about my father. But you mentioned something about your daughter, and I gotta take it in a bit of a different direction. Maybe
Sure.
You'll be able to help a little bit.
Sure. Could I stop you for 1 second, John? I just want to say to the people that are calling and waiting, can you call back when John and I are done? Because there's just me here, so I can't take your call at the moment. But I appreciate you calling in. Okay, go ahead, John.
No problem at all. So, when fathers have daughters, they figure they're going to be daddy's little girl, and when that doesn't work out, it's very frustrating as a father to try to deal with it. I hear how you say that you got 3 girls and you try to teach them and show them and do great things for them to help them in their lives. And it's a little bit frustrating trying to do that as a dad, as a very caring father, and not being able to get through. I was wondering if you had some words of wisdom, and I know that the answer is just keep trying, just keep showing the love, but it's tough when you're you're not getting anything back in return. Not that I do it for anything, but it would be nice to get a little bit of love back.
Let's see
the love that I try to put out.
Let me see if I can help you, John, and everybody else that's listening. So one of the things that I've learned, and this is partly from this emotion roadmap that I've created, is that people are not always interested in my thoughtful insights into how they can be better.
Right.
You know, there are times when I want to be helpful and I think I've got something to say, and I'm not sure that my daughters or anybody really that I'm trying to help, is open to hearing it. And one of the things I would encourage you to think about, John, is that when you've got something to share that you think is worth sharing, you make sure the first thing you want to make sure is that the person, whatever it is, whether it's your daughter or someone else, you make sure that they understand that you've really heard what they have to say. And you do that just by so let me understand, and you try to capture what they've said. And maybe you got it right and maybe you didn't. Because sometimes people say things and you can repeat word for word back to them what they've said, but it's not what they meant. And when they hear it coming back from you, they say, no, that's not what I meant, Dad. So make sure you understand it first. And then what I find, John, that's really helpful, that I think will kind of move the needle a bit for you, is to ask permission. And I do this. I do this with my daughters to this day. I say, would you be okay with me sharing an idea for how you might do that different? And if they really don't want to hear that, they'll tell me.
Right.
But can you turn something down here? I don't know what's happening, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm in the car.
Oh, okay. Well, it's something to. Anyway, so the concept is that when the people who you're talking to are asked to allow themselves to hear something different, it changes the way they're going to receive what you're about to say if they're okay hearing it. It actually lowers their defenses and allows them to think about what you said. Now, they may not agree with that, but they're going to hear it differently, and they're going to allow you to say it if they're willing. If they, no, Dad, I just wanted to share it. I'm not really looking for any help. Okay, then you don't get to say it. But a lot of times, I think they'll say, "Sure, go ahead, Dad. What do you got?" And they'll listen in a different way. So hopefully that's helpful, John.
That is. I appreciate it, and keep up the good work. And I'll be doing some research on you and checking out your shows and what you got. Thanks.
Just for everybody listening, I'm on the first and second Wednesdays of each month at 12 noon at WPKN. Thanks, John. Take care. Happy Father's Day to you. Bye-bye. Okay. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please?
My name's Bill.
Bill. Hi, Bill. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for the reminder of a story about my dad. He was a director of a large mental health center, and his last day there, I was helping him move his personal belongings out. And when we were leaving the hospital, as we're going through the hallways, all of the people that worked there were saying goodbye to him and how they'd miss him. But it was not just the nurses and doctors. It was the orderlies and janitors and all the staff. And I was like, how do you know all their names and how do they all know you? And he said, every one of those people is important to keep this place running as I was.
That's lovely. What a nice story, Bill. And it's so nice to hear about somebody that had a key leadership role that really led with, I want to call it emotional intelligence or empathy or compassion for others, and just really recognize how important everybody was to the organization. So many people say our people are our most important assets and don't act on it and don't act that way.
Right.
Sounds like your dad was one of those rare people that did, and that's a lovely story.
Yeah, thanks. It was good to share it.
Okay, again, the show, I'm going to publish it on the PRX exchange, and if you look up Public Radio Exchange and Emotion Roadmap, you can hear back about it. Is your dad still with us?
No, he's gone 7 years now.
Okay. Well, like I said before, it's one of those things where you may or may not believe in an afterlife. If there is an afterlife, maybe you got to hear that, Bill. Thanks for the call.
Thank you.
Okay, you take care now. Bye-bye. Okay, again, I've had other people on the line, so I hope you are still listening. You have a chance to call back in now. The lines are free. The number to call is 203-336-9756. So how about that? How about somebody who remembers that his dad was somebody who cared about everybody in the organization? You know, what a nice thing about leaders too. You know, hopefully people are learning some things as they're listening to these stories about what makes for special moments. I mean, how about what kind of pride you have in thinking about that your dad wasn't just dealing with the professionals in the building. He was somebody who cared about every orderly, every person in the janitorial role. Everybody matters here. And he demonstrated that by his willingness to work with and care about everybody. One of the best leaders I ever knew was someone who did that, a fellow named John Caparella. And if you go to YouTube and you look at Emotion Roadmap, you can see some of the conversations I had with John, who was somebody that that really talks about that. I also had John. I had John on the radio a few times a number of years back, and you can hear him say similar things to what Bill just said about his dad. And you know what? It's actually, I want to say something proud about one of my daughters who has just got she's taking a move with her company, which is a wonderful move. She's coming back from overseas, back to the United States. They had a delegation, they called it, and she's coming back, and all the people are telling her how lovely it was to work for her. I'm really proud of her, too. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please? Hello?
Hello?
Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to? Can you hear me?
It's Joe. Yeah, I can hear you.
You're breaking up a little bit.
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I can't really.
Am I still?
Yeah, it's not.
Any better?
It's not working well. You're going to have to call back. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
You can try it again, though, hopefully. Okay, bye-bye. Yeah, sorry about that. It wasn't a good connection. I don't know if it was a cell phone or whatever, but yeah, hopefully it tries back. Again, the number is 203-336-9756. So my daughter's coming into this country and she's got a new job, and the people that, are in the new job, she's kind of finishing up, really busy with the job that she's trying to do everything she can to make it really as finished as she can be, so that the new person walking into the job she has is all set up and ready to go. And she's been asked to sit in on some of the calls that she's going to be, for the new business, where she's not new business. She's in the same company, but a different position in a different part of the company. And she was asked to stay up really late because she's in Europe's about 5 or 6 hours, depending on where you are, different than Eastern Standard Time. So she had a late night last night, but she was excited to tell me about all these people that are telling her all the different messages that are coming in. Oh, you're so lucky to get this person to be your leader. Isn't it nice? Not only when you think about that for your dad, but you hear about that with your, with one of your daughters somewhere. Lots of nice things with all three of my daughters. Anyway. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air.
Yeah, hi, Chuck. This is Norman.
Hi, Norman. How are you?
I'm good. Let me turn the radio down. Yeah, I have people calling in about the father, and I'm listening to these guys talk about their dad, and then I'm thinking to myself, well, I don't have any really fond memories, and the only fond memory I really have, which comes to mind every time I think of my father, is when I grew up in Brooklyn, New York. We used to go to Prospect Park and go rowboating.
Uh-huh.
And one day he just tipped the boat and I fell out and I'm in the water near the shore. And I'm standing there. I can remember this like it was happening yesterday.
Okay.
I'm standing there crying my eyes out. So anyway, he pulls me up and so be it. After that, I don't remember what happened. But there's not many fond memories because my dad drank a lot, and that was his business. He was a seaman, born in Norway, and he came over here, married my mom. Her parents are from Sweden, and so there's a lot of mixture of, cultures going on there. But I can never latch on to anything happy in my bringing up.
Norman, did you have children? Do you have children? Yeah, I don't think we've ever talked about that.
I have two children. I have a son. He's 55, 56, but I haven't talked to him in 40 years. I don't know, for some reason he's not talking to me, and I keep trying to contact him and send him cards and whatnot. He lives too far away to go travel, and I don't want to just go over to his house and pop in on him. If he can't answer my cards and mail, I don't know. But I have a daughter, and God bless it that she's around, because she's the love of my life right now. She really is a wonderful girl, and I'm listening to you talk about your daughters and how accomplished they are. And so is my daughter. My daughter's very, very accomplished, very smart, and she has a practice of. She's a certified massage therapist and teaches yoga and meditation and all. So she's very into that whole scene.
Well, Norman, let me just say, I'm I'm looking in this show to try and focus on how to be a great dad and some experiences people have had. So I'm sorry you didn't, and that I'm not sure why that was a fond memory of your dad. That well, I guess because he didn't let you drown. Maybe it's a bit of a stretch for a fond memory, but maybe where you still have that relationship with your daughter. I just encourage you to listen to what everybody else is saying and think about some of the things that make your daughter want to stay in your life that you've done, and just do more of them. I mean, that's what I'm hoping to encourage in today's show is just, hey, there's some dads that have done some neat things for their kids over the course of their lifetimes. Maybe you're still, maybe you're a young kid, you're 17, 18 years old and you're listening and you want to call in, or even 13, but the idea is that, hey, what do dads do that is special? That makes Father's Day special, because that's what's coming up. So I don't know. I mean, one of the things I'd encourage you to think about is to think about the things you've done for your daughter over the years that she seems to have appreciated, and to try and do more of those.
Well, I do. I recognize all of what you just said, and I'm there for her whenever she needs me or wants or asks me for something, or just to be there, do things together.
Well, here's why I said what I said just now, is because you called up and you said you listen to these other people and you're thinking, geez, my dad didn't really do much that I can think of that made me feel good, and for whatever reasons. And so I'm saying, think about the show differently. Think about the show in terms of what are people saying about their dads that I might want to do that I haven't done for my daughter yet. That's the way I'm thinking about the show.
But, in other words,
take a different framework around this. Instead of letting it cause you to think about the negative stuff that happened in your past with your dad, because that, dwelling on that isn't taking you to a place that's uplifting at all, I'm pretty sure. So, right.
It's not that I'm dwelling on it, but it's always there in my mind.
Well, that's what I would call dwelling. If it's always there in your mind.
Whatever you want to call it, but your show brought up these thoughts.
Yeah, that's so I'm asking you to reframe it. I'm asking you to think a little differently about what you're hearing other people say. Not think about your dad. I mean, there's triggers we all have, and that's a trigger, it sounds like to me, Norman, that, people talk about dads, you start thinking about the negative stuff because it's in there. You can't help it if that's what happened growing up. But you can think about it different. You can think about it differently if you want to focus on, what did I just hear, and is there something else maybe I could do for my daughter that I just learned listening to somebody else? Yeah. That's all.
Well, it goes a little bit beyond what I told you.
Hey, Norm, I don't mean to, but I'm going to cut you off because I don't want to focus on this today.
Bye.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that, but it's, at some point, this is a show about dads and stuff that dads have done that make life better for folks. And just to the best of your ability, if you didn't grow up with a dad that really was special to you in any meaningful way, maybe if you're in a place where you're a dad and you're listening and you can do some of the things that other people are saying that make life special for their folks, that's what the show's about today. So again, the number to call is 203-336-9756. 203-336-9756. And to Norman, I'm sorry about cutting you off because I know you've been a regular listener and you've called in and lots of good conversation with you over the years. But again, this show is about being uplifting about dads in general and things that they've done for you. So anybody else who's been waiting to call, and I know there's a couple other people I saw on the line that didn't call back yet. So the number is 203-336-9756. 203-336-9756. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please?
Hi, my name's Lou.
Hi, Lou. Thanks for calling in.
Hi, I actually just turned the radio on, and I heard what you had spoke to the last caller about, and I definitely just felt compelled to call in about my dad. I'm lucky to be a junior. I'm named after my dad, and my son is also named. He's not a third. We changed my son's middle name.
Excuse me, Luke. If you have the radio, could you turn it down?
Oh, sure. I'm sorry about that. Yes, sorry about that. So my father. I'm named after my father, and he was best man at my wedding. And I always tell everyone he was the best man at my wedding because he was the best man that I've ever. He was just an exceptional person. It's interesting.
Whoa!
I fixed it. Okay, sorry about that.
Let's start over. Okay, so yeah, you're calling in because you heard the last call, but you wanted to call in about your dad, right?
Yes, yeah, and I just wanted to say that my dad was an exceptional person, and he was best man at my wedding. And I tell everyone it's because he's the best man I've known.
Wow.
And he unfortunately, at the end of his life, he was sick for the last 9 years of his life. He had a permanent tracheotomy for, throat cancer. And but even throughout that, he managed to be kind of the voice of reason in our family, and he was always the calming element. And I have a 15-year-old son at home. He's our only child, and I try and model the things that I do in front of my son or say in front of my son after what my dad would do. But, he was a number of things. He was silly, compassionate. But one of the things I always remember about him is wherever I went, people knew him. And my friends used to joke and call him the governor because he was just so well liked by people. And there was like a real genuineness and sincerity about him when he spoke to other people. You kind of got the sense that he was focused completely on what you were saying. It was never superficial. So I just wanted to say that about my dad. I try and tell people whenever I have the opportunity of how lucky and how blessed I feel to have had him.
Well, that's a wonderful story, and it's nice that you're named for him now, and that makes it special too. I think the idea of when you listen to people, make sure that you really make them feel like you're listening and that you care about them is something. Again, I'm hoping that people can tease things out of what we're hearing from folks today and recognize the kind of things that can make people feel special about you. And that sure sounds like your dad was someone that lots of people seem to really recognize that he cared deeply about many people in his life, and it mattered.
He was, and I appreciate the opportunity to, for the program and to just share that. And thank you. I look forward to listening to more programs. I appreciate it.
No, thanks a lot for calling in, Lou. Take care and happy Father's Day to you.
Great. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, again, the number to call is 203-336-9756. Hopefully you're hearing lots of nice things from folks about how important it is. I think when Dylan first called about, trying to be helpful. My daughter said to me, she's 40 years old, and she said, I can't believe, I'm still asking my dad for help with stuff like this. I said, why? I said, if my dad was around, I'd be asking him for help. It's one of those things where, if you can create the kind of relationship where it's loving, it's caring, it's giving, it's supportive, and you share when you're proud. It's funny, when I was a school counselor a lot of years ago, and one of the things I did, I read a book about self-esteem. I think that fellow's name was Donald Faulkner, and Building Self-Esteem was the name of the book. And one of the things that he said was, certain people, for whatever reason, sometimes it's based on their own upbringing, are uncomfortable saying when they're proud of something they did themselves. Sitting at a dinner table and saying, I'm really proud of the way I handled the situation at work today, sharing that in front of your children. Or somebody, a child saying, I'm really proud. I had the answer today when no one else could figure something out. Or I helped somebody that was really struggling with a math problem, and I went up to him and said, would you like some help? And I was able to show him how to do to use the formula to get the right answer, or whatever it might be. sitting around the dinner table and encouraging people to share moments where they're proud is a way of building self-esteem. But what Faulkner said was that, there's a lot of people that feel like that's bragging. And they're told often as kids that you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't brag about yourself. You should not necessarily say when you do something good. You let others do that. And yet, one of the things that I was learning and trying to help other parents with their kids was, no, I believe Faulkner is right. I think when we're willing to be a role model, and, if I can push you past what you might have learned as a kid, and I'm sure with the best intentions, people said this. So, because certainly there are people we see as braggarts, right? I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about everybody at the dinner table. Hey, something you did that you're proud of today? Asking for a chance to share that, and you being willing to share something where you might have felt proud of something that happened. And that helps to build self-esteem. And in building self-esteem, you're pushing yourself past the comfort zone because you were told growing up, you don't really do that. So my motivating factor, and I've always thought like this, and this is partly the emotion roadmap too now today because of something that I learned way back when, is that if I want to motivate somebody, sometimes I've got to do it by saying, this will help other people. If you're willing to do this, this will help your children to feel pride in themselves when you're willing to share this. And again, not over the top, not every day saying, I came in and I did all these. No, just moments of time where you sit down and you're having a conversation. Again, a dinner table, family dinners are another way that makes life good for families. A lot of times people are just too busy and they don't seem to get together for dinner. And I remember, again, one of our daughters saying, hey, Mom and Dad, when I went to school, I never realized, but a lot of people never had family dinners. And I'm thinking about all the family dinners we had and how enjoyable they were. And I just want to thank you for that because, and that's really on my wife. My wife was insistent that we all get together and we all sit down at the table together. I've got a great partner, by the way, and that's why life is so good with my daughters. It isn't just because I'm a good dad. So they're very lucky to have a great mom. So, but, all of this is something that I think kind of pushes you sometimes past what you're comfortable with. And so my thought is, one of the things that you can do is let your children know, whatever age they are, it doesn't matter, when they've done something that has made you proud. Share that with them. And if you're comfortable, you can tell them about something that you did that make you feel proud of something that you accomplished as well. I do try to share that, not too often. I don't want to be over the top. Hey, I did this, that, the other thing. But on occasion, when I did something I feel special about, I let them know I'm really proud of myself having done this. Here's something I'd like to share with you that happened today. Like I shared I don't know if the person who called me is still, you might be listening right now, but one of the nicest feelings I got from this show was, I don't know, it happened a while back, but it was a person who called in and said, Chuck, how long have you been on the air? And I think it was, not really sure the exact year, but anyway, he said, because I've been on the air now 15 years. This is my 15th year on the radio. Thank you very much to WPKN and Lou Pomalis, and who asked me to be on the radio and was a student of mine as a graduate student at the University of Hartford when I was teaching there on about emotional intelligence in organizations. And he said, Chuck, I love this emotion roadmap. And would you be willing to come to the radio station and share it? And Pete Balsham was the general manager, and Bob Johnson was the program director. And Bob was kind enough to listen to Lou and put me on the air at some point. And I've been on for 15 years. It's been I never expected it to go this long, but it's been a long time, and I'm enjoying it quite a bit. But the concept of trying to say when you're proud of something and sharing a moment when you're proud of something isn't something you do all the time, but don't be afraid of it. Because if you think about my willingness to share when I'm proud, says to my children, they can be proud of themselves too. I'm modeling for them something that the research suggests builds self-esteem. And if the research suggests it, and I'm willing to do it, my kids seem to be healthier because of it, I'm going to do more of it. But focus on when they do something proud. Don't just feel it inside. Let them know about it. I think that's important. Okay. So the number again to call is 203-336-9756. And you're listening to the Chuck Wolf, and I've only got time maybe for one more because the hour's gone really fast. You got something you want to call about and share, you got another minute or so to share it. 336 9756. Hi, this is Chuck. You're on the air. Who am I talking to, please?
Yes, hi. This is JP.
Hi,
and
JP.
I would like to share something. I never have celebrated Father's Day because my father passed when I was 3 years old, and I don't have any memories of him. I'm in my 70s now.
Okay.
But at any rate, just hearing your show made me think, I mean, he was a great father. My mother was great also. She passed when I was 14.
Wow.
So, but one of the things in regards to my father that a legacy that he left was he was a high school teacher, but in the summertime he built little cottages. He was very industrious. And I still own 3 of them. And they're very sweet locations. I mean, perfect locations. And I'm really glad that he did that and he picked those locations. And that's, you know, when he passed, I didn't get any. It was before the days of pensions and Social Security and all that stuff, so I didn't get any big monetary thing that way. But I did have the little cottages that I was able to.
Well, I'm going to have to thank you for your phone call and say goodbye because we're off the air in a second. Bye-bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.